as you're reading that, and you think about, he gets dressed up for battle. They're doing their war paint, and it's part of a ritual that they're going through before they go into that. And I think the ritual is probably really important to the human psyche to help you set aside some of the fear and the other things, and maybe it might even help you with those ghosts a little bit. I remember on one of the early podcasts, somebody asked if you had a ritual before you went out on ops, and I think there is one that a lot of people practice, and it was like, I'm going to change out all my batteries. I'm going to get all the old battle maps out of my gear, and I'm going to put the new battle map and the new comm plan. Then I'm going to go check my radio, and then we have this ritual that develops. It's like reinforcing that we're all getting ready to go out in the battlefield, because like one of the last things we do before we get in the vehicles or get in the helicopters is we get together and we do comm checks. And we're saying to each other, hey, I want to make sure that you know that I can talk to you, and then I know that you can talk to me, and when you need help, I'll hear you and I'll come. Right? And that, it's a different kind of ritual, but it's actually kind of the same, where we present ourselves for inspection from each other, like, hey, check my gear out. And all of us, sometimes some platoons run it differently, where they'll have one guy check it out, but every platoon has a system where you present yourself and you do all this ritual to get ready to go into combat, and then you present yourself to your teammate, like, hey, check me out, make sure I'm squared away, and then I'll check you out. And then we're kind of reaffirming all of our bonds and getting ready to go into the belly of the beast.
Yeah, it's probably worth noting as a leader to make that a little bit more ritualistic, right? To what can you do to make it a little bit more ritualistic? Yeah. And I did this my first deployment to Iraq, where we would, before we'd get in the vehicles, it was roll call. Like we would we'd all stand around the board with the vehicles, magnet board with the vehicles on it, and it was, Gardner, yep, Willink, here, just going through that roll call that, yep, we're all here. We all know what vehicles we're in. This is who's going out tonight. And for some reason, in Ramadi, we didn't do quite that ritualistic roll call. We had come up with a more decentralized system for, yep, everyone's good to go, probably just the vehicles, 6 up, 5's up, 4's up, 3's up, 2's up, 1's up, yep, we're good to go. We don't need to have everyone stand around. But as you're talking through this, that nice little ritual was a good thing. And it gives you and I've talked about this before, the fact that in America, we don't really have a solid ritualistic way to deal with death. There's not a protocol to follow of what you're supposed to do. And it can, I think, leave a lot of open ends and a lot of loose strings, because other cultures have, hey, this day we're going to do this kind of celebration. We're going to say this prayer. We're going to go to this place. We're going to do this thing. And then it's over.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? Because dying is as natural as being born.
Yeah.
And why don't we, it's just like this weird gap that we have where we haven't set up a way for us to just cope with it.
Yep. And even, we have some rituals like in the SEAL teams, like, okay, we're going to go to the funeral. We're going to put the trident, we're going to pound our tridents into the casket. Like, those are awesome things. But it's almost like the ritual needs to have completion, where you say, hey, once you put that trident in the casket and you bury that casket, now you've let that part of that warrior go, and now you can move forward. Whatever the saying should be, or whatever the ritual, because you don't really know that. No one said like, hey man, once you do that, it's okay. You've given that warrior the most respect you can give him. You've given him the most meaningful thing to you, which is your trident. You've given it to him. You're going to bury him with your trident. You're going to be with him forever. And now you go back to doing your job. I kind of feel that way. I felt some level of closure when I've done that. But if it was a little bit more codified, it might be even more healthy for guys. So I think the idea of rituals are so helpful in everyday life. If you've got some rituals to follow. I mean, people have all kinds of little rituals they follow in everyday life, right? I get up, I brush my teeth, I put on, like I wear the same clothes all the time to work out. You know what I mean? I have these little rituals, and I pretty much wear the same clothes every day, by the way. But you got these rituals. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And it makes things easier. And it allows your mind to sort of follow a path that is already known. And I think that's really healthy. And I think that would help people a lot.